What is up, everybody? For NYUpandSyracuse.com, I am Matt Parrino, and I'm joined today, very special guest, Marcel Louis-Jacques from ESPN. My man, thank you so much.
Hey, man, you flatter me for calling me special. No, it's great to be out here. Glad to be back at New Era Field, back in Buffalo. Got a great home stretch coming up for the Bills. Real opportunity to put their stamp on their AFC title run, AFC East title run. To clarify here. But, it starts today.
Very, very optimistic outlook. I was just talking to some of the guys here at the Pinto Tailgate here at Hammers Lot outside of New Era Field, and they cautioned me. We've been here before. We've been at 4-1 before. We've been at 5-1, 6-1. Well, 6-1's been a while, but there's excitement, emanating from all over the place outside of this stadium, and rightfully so, right? I mean, this team is for real.
Yeah, and I started to notice that a few weeks back before going into the Patriots game, that there was some cautious optimism in this fan base, and for good reason. When you made the playoffs one time in 17 years, you kind of tiptoe, you got to test the water first before you dive all in, but this team, it's built from that defensive side of the ball. There's not a lot of variation there. This is a good defense. You're not going to see a lot of bad efforts on that side of the ball. And as this offense grows, the Bills can be a dangerous team in the AFC, especially with Patrick Mahomes' injury right now. It's still uncertain just how well he'll be able to recover through that or play through pain when he's back. There is a door for Buffalo to be the second best team in the AFC. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't matter much when the first best team is in your division. So you're still looking at a wild card berth. You're still looking at, if you want to hit that Super Bowl run, make that Super Bowl run, you're going to have to do it the hard way. You're going to have to do it on the road. But there's a world that exists in which the Patriots, during a stretch where they play Kansas City and Houston and Baltimore and Dallas and Philadelphia, that they drop a game or two. The Bills could even it up, and that sets up a showdown at the end of the season in Foxborough with New England, possibly for the AFC crowd or AFC East crowd. So we'll see, but you can probably be a little less cautious if you're a Bills fan. This team is good. Should be a baseline wild card team if everything holds firm.
So obviously the Miami Dolphins are on tap today. We'll talk a little bit about that game, but we're out here at the Pinto Tailgate. These guys are always so gracious with their time and letting us come out and kind of walk around, check out the ambiance at one of the most amazing tailgates in Bills Mafia Nation. They got the bowling ball shots. They'll do the Pinto Ron ketchup and mustard ceremony at 11:30, which I'm hoping to check out before heading back into the stadium. But on tap today is the Dolphins, and 17-point favorites. You put out a cool story this week about what that means. Tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah, and the significance of this. Miami right now is on pace to set a record for the largest spread in a single season as an underdog. Ironically, it's a record that they set themselves in 1966. They're set to beat it by about 6 or 7 points. Average of 13.5-point underdog every game this season, including a whopping 22.5-point underdog at Dallas a few weeks back. And it's for good reason. When you look at this team on paper, there's nothing that they do well to take advantage of what the Bills don't do well. Bottom tier run defense, and Buffalo's a top 10 rushing offense. Bottom tier passing offense. Buffalo's middle of the pack there, but with receivers like this and with Miami's best players in their secondary out today, Rashad Jones, safety, has been ruled out. Xavier Howard is still questionable. When you look at the matchup on paper, there's not a lot that you can point at and say, okay, Miami's got an advantage here. So, it's an understandable why the spread is so wide here. But, this is why you play the game. Weirder things have happened in football. Weirder things have happened in the NFL. If they go out here and they lay an egg, that's a stench that's not going to be washed off anytime soon. Whoever the first team is to lose to the Dolphins is going to have to carry that for the rest of the season. And I can almost guarantee that nobody wants to be that squad.
If you guys have a question on the Facebook Live, hit it up. We got a producer, Joe, here today. Thank you so much. He'll shout it out to us. Let us know anything you're feeling about this game, this team heading into the season. But another interesting storyline going into this game is the Bills are healthy. Tyler Kroft, Devin Singletary, both expected to play. Tyler Kroft for the first time as a Buffalo Bill. So the dynamic of this offense and how good it could be against what you mentioned, a suspect secondary and just an overall, I don't think that they're a bad defense. I just think that it's kind of situation where things are so bad in Miami with the tank and the mindset that it's probably tough to get up for these games week after week after week. They have a team that's completely on the ropes, and they can come out here and have a huge game. And oh, by the way, Josh Allen last year in 2 games, 5 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions against the Dolphins.
I mean, that's an all encouraging sign here. And yeah, the Dolphins, especially on defense, they've got pieces on that side of the ball. They've got Brian Flores, who's a defensive-minded head coach. But ultimately, this offense ranks either last or second to last in the league in terms of time of possession, average time of possession. So this defense is on the field time after time after time. And, it's hard to keep an opposing offense out of the end zone when you're playing so many snaps there. But yeah, I think you might look at this game and say the Bills don't have to do much to win. They can play it conservative throughout the game. I don't think Brian Dable does that though. I think it's the first time we see an offense with both Duke Williams and Devin Singletary on offense and active and healthy right now. I think he plays around with the weapons that he's got. I think it's a chance for him to get a little versatile, show a little bit of that dynamic side that some of these players bring to the table. So I'm expecting a big win. I predicted 35-7. I know that's a hearty victory here for the Buffalo Bills, but there's just, like I said, on paper, not a lot that's convinced me otherwise.
I had 38-10, and a big reason why is because I think that this defensive front for the Bills can really eat today. I mean, they're going to be without their center, Daniel Kilgore. He's going to miss this game. And to be honest with you, this Miami offensive line has been kind of a train wreck. Last week they tried a little bit something different. Their left tackle played right tackle, or right tackle played left tackle. So I think that this could be a game for a defensive line that's been playing well and consistent through 5 games, but the sack totals aren't really there yet for Jerry Hughes. Trent Murphy doesn't have 1 yet. Ed Oliver doesn't have 1 yet. This could be a game where that tide kind of turns a little bit.
It could be, like you said. There's going to be some struggle for Miami in that interior offensive line. Ryan Fitzpatrick's not exactly known as a mobile quarterback. As magical as he can be, running ain't really his strong point. But like we talked to Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier about earlier in the season. They don't really base their success as a pass rushing group on their sack numbers. It's more about QB pressure, average time for these guys to let the ball go, average distance away from that quarterback. The strength is in the secondary here. So all this pass rush really needs to do against Fitzpatrick or against even Brady or some of the other quarterbacks they'll play this year is force that quarterback into making a decision before he's comfortable making it and let the secondary take advantage of that play from there. When you've got ball hawks like Micah Hyde, Trey White, Jordan Poyer in the secondary, even Levi Wallace has been making some great plays on the ball these past few weeks. You don't really need to bring the QB down all that much. And, so I'd expect we see more of the same here today. This receiver group from Miami, it's not exactly daunting. Their best receiver, I believe, Preston Williams, undrafted rookie right now. It's just not a great matchup. I know we keep going back to talking about the matchup on paper, but it's just such a wide gap. It's almost too wide to ignore.
Mm-hmm. So, again, I'm joined today by Marcel Louis-Jacques of ESPN. I'm Matt Parrino, nyupsyracuse.com. We are outside New Era Field right now. We are a couple hours away from kickoff. Miami versus Buffalo. 17-point favorites for the Bills. The first time they've been a 17-point favorite or more since 1992. A lot of excitement in the air and kind of a weird malaise in a way. I put out a tweet on Friday and I just said, Bills Mafia, where are we at with this game? Because it's like, I think going into a game like this, it could kind of be a little bit odd for a team that's been scratching and clawing to get to this level of notoriety into the league to now come in and be the team that's expected to come in here and lay the hammer. And now I have kind of a little bit of a cheat code in that I grew up in Buffalo, so all my friends and family are huge Bills fans. And I was at a family party last night, and an uncle of mine said, I'm so high on this team, but the one thing that I keep coming back to that worries me is, can we get to a point where Josh Allen can be trusted? And in this game, I think he'll be great. I think he'll go up against a Miami defense that's not that good. He's had success before and be good, but long term against the Eagles next week when Fletcher Cox is going to be up in his face, against some of the tougher defenses they'll face in the second half. Can he be trusted? Is this something that we're going to start to see the trend that has been the first 5 weeks shift a little bit?
I think if Josh Allen's going to figure himself out here and really get into that comfort zone, it's going to be in these next 3 weeks. When you've got Miami this week, you got Philadelphia, who is an aggressive but definitely a burnable defense when it comes to that secondary, then Washington the week after, Cleveland the week after that, then you got Miami again, and there is a very prime opportunity for him to find that comfort zone and to find himself, because that's kind of, he makes this offense so dynamic right now. He makes this offense so good. But the mistakes and the turnovers are also just a very obvious ball and chain that's holding it down from its ceiling. So if he can just kind of get into that groove, get into that rhythm of finding what the defense is giving him, accepting that, living to play another drive, keeping the big picture in mind, then I think really the sky's the limit for Buffalo's offense, because it's got playmakers. You've got John Brown, who can take the top off a D. You've got Cole Beasley, who's been getting open at will this season. I'm excited to see what Duke Williams can do. I know the fan base is as well, but a guy who can he doesn't need to shake himself free, who can just mano-a-mano win a one-on-one matchup. Right now, I think that's something that they lacked before he was called up. That's what they're hoping Zay Jones can do. But I think it's important. He's got an important role to play here, and it's in my opinion, this is when we really start to see it. I think this is when they start to take some more chances to Duke Williams. I'd expect Robert Foster to integrate a little bit more as well, because Josh has weapons to play with. It's just a matter of not feeling like he needs to be the hero.
Got a question? Hit me with it.
What does it mean for the Bills team to get Devin Singletary back in the lineup?
So the question is, what does it mean for this Bills team to get Devin Singletary back in the lineup? I think number one, it gives you kind of a change-up. It's interesting. I think it was Brian Dable or somebody. I can't remember who said it. Devin Singletary has a very similar running style to Frank Gore in the sense that he's urgent when he gets the ball. He hits the hole. But I think once things kind of shift to the outside, that's where he becomes a little bit more dynamic. And it's not just downhill. He has a little bit more shiftiness to his game.
He does, and he sets the edge, and that's something that Frank Gore, for all his ageless talents, that's not something he's doing right now in his 15th season. And you've kind of noticed that. They haven't been able to run around the tackles since Singletary went down in week 2. But I think that his presence is going to open things up. It's going to spread the defense out a little bit today. He's also a weapon in the passing game. We've seen Frank Gore contribute. We've seen TJ Yeldon start to contribute as well, but neither of them are as dynamic coming out the backfield as Devin Singletary is. So he was on a pitch count throughout the week. I'm interested in seeing if they give him a full workload today. I can't imagine that they would, since they're going to need him next week against Philadelphia. But he adds, and I've been using this word a lot this morning, he adds a dynamic element. He is a player who, when he gets the ball in his hands, as he's shown through his 15 career touches, he can make magic happen at any given moment. He can turn something out of nothing. He can break the big run, he can score, and he can keep the defense on their toes. So it's very important that they got him back today. I think it's going to be a huge shot in the arm to this offense, regardless of if we see him, get fully broken loose today.
One guy I put out a story yesterday about is kind of a forgotten man in this offense in terms of production, but not so much by the fan base, because they still clamor for a potential Robert Foster breakout. Now, the more and more you look at it, it seems like it's going to be tough for him to get any type of extended role with the kind of success that Duke Williams has had already. But let me bounce this off you a little bit. Is there a situation, right now on the depth chart, Robert Foster is slotted behind John Brown. He's almost like that backup role to John Brown. But is there a scenario because of the differences of their skill set, Robert Foster, the downfield guy, Duke Williams more that possession, physical type of receiver, that there's a scenario where they can get to some type of split to kind of accentuate what they both do so well?
Yeah, I think there is. At the end of the day, though, each of them is going to have to kind of offer a little bit in the other's role. Duke Williams, like I said before, he's a good one-on-one 50-50 ball receiver. He's a red zone threat. He's a short yardage threat when you need to move the chains, especially when the weather starts to turn out here. And Robert Foster is more of that, vertical threat. But they're going to have to kind of, dabble into each other's fields just to keep defenses from, being able to, being too predictable for opposing defenses. But I think there does exist a world. Robert Foster, we all saw what he was capable of at the end of last season. He's been battling injuries throughout the preseason, training camp, regular season. He looks to be fully healthy right now. Miami secondary right now, pretty slow-footed, especially if Xavier Howard's not playing. It is an opportunity for him to kind of get right. We haven't seen the opportunity for him just yet, but the fact that he's still on the roster, that he's still getting reps. Coaches still talk about him during our availability sessions. That shows they believe in him, and that ceiling is just too high to ignore. So we'll see if he can just make an impact. You got to make plays. You know, if you're not making plays in practice, you're not going to get the chance to do it in a game, and that's, I think, where this all starts for Robert Foster.
The weather out here is absolutely gorgeous. I don't think you're going to see too many mid-October days in Buffalo in your tenure as the ESPN's Bills beat reporter this nice. I mean, this is amazing right now.
No kidding. And you know what gets me so upset is it was rainy and cold and windy and gray all week long.
Right.
So I'm thinking, okay, it says 67 on the forecast. I'm going to wear this jacket just in case, and I might be sweating through it. It might not show up here, but, you know, up here, I'm really sweating through this thing right now. It's a beautiful day out here, partly cloudy. You're not seeing many heavy jackets. You see a couple people in shorts. Even the Miami fans are wearing shorts, you know, and they get cold like that. So it's just a wonderful day for football. You know, gotta love the big guy upstairs for blessing us with this today.
For sure.
And,
make sure you follow him on Twitter at Marcel_LJ. I am at Matt Parrino on Twitter. We're going to have you covered for Buffalo versus Miami. Can they cover the spread? Can they come in here and put down a dominant hammer in a game where it should happen because this team is not very good? We're going to find out. Thank you so much for joining me.
Anytime, my man. Thanks for having me on.
We're going to go down there and check things out. Pinto Tailgate at Hammers Lot, New Era Field, Miami, Buffalo, 1 o'clock. Thanks so much for joining us.